Max. Dun, dun, dun.
Actually, before we start, I walked past a cafe the other day, and I looked into it. I don't know why, but I looked left, and they had a huge Dutch flag at the top on the balcony. And first thing that came in my head was da 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 da, Max Verstappen.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the F1 Debrief. I'm your host Daniel, and I'm welcome once again by my co-host Alex. Hello Alex, how you going?
Good, mate. Good. How is everybody today? There was a great weekend of racing. Very interesting weekend. So yeah, let's get into it.
Right away. So this weekend held the US Grand Prix in Austin, and it was a lot cooler than Qatar.
Yeah, no one fainted this time.
Thankfully.
Yeah, thank goodness.
But what do you think of the race?
I actually didn't mind it. There was a lot of complaints about it and it being slightly boring, but obviously it was helped a little bit with Max's lap that didn't count in qualifying, so he started 6th, which made it a bit more interesting. It did kind of suck that it didn't make a difference at all. And yeah, the only comparison to Qatar was the tyre wear was probably just as bad. So I don't know. Like, obviously, it wasn't as bad that I had to enforce the 3 pit stop rule. But at the end of the day, there was some tyre wear, and that's when we saw the Red Bull dominate.
Yeah. So, like you just said, it wasn't severe, but it was enough to worry about, like, pretty early on as well. In the race, I just remember like Hamilton really struggling at the first couple stints with those tyres, because there were talks of a one-stop strategy, especially in the first bit of the race, but the tyres just weren't the best. But like a few of them did. I've actually got it listed down with Leclerc and Alonso, I believe, did a one-stop.
Albon, I think it was.
Albon?
Yeah, I think it was
probably
Albon.
I think that's Albon I've written there. Yeah, I did. I've written the 3-letter initials. But Ricardo,
yeah, that's very close.
Yeah, Ricardo did have a one-stop, but towards the end they just gave up, so he just ended up doing a 2-stop. But they did try.
Yeah.
Pretty much anyone who did a one-stop just fell back.
Yeah, that was kind of disappointing. Yeah, because obviously you want less time in the pit stops, but that was so slow by the end. That just meant that, yeah, that was really it.
But the Red Bull was pretty decent, though, on the tyre.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, that's the only car that did have the ability to go long distance on a tyre more than everyone else. Obviously, they didn't do a one-stop, but still, the fact that, yeah, Max had all those, all that pace, was pretty evident that he didn't really struggle as much with tyre wear.
And it was actually interesting, though. He didn't... we came into the weekend knowing he'd probably win, but there wasn't a massive gap sort of thing. Like, Hamilton was closing in the last stint.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously, if he didn't get DQ'd, disqualified, then if he had one more lap, I think he would have got him. Well, he would have tried.
Yeah.
So that was a kind of shock. And I think it did all come down to strategy at the end of the day. Meaning that, the commentators said that if Lewis had pitted 2 laps earlier, he would have had, the tyres worn in a little bit, and just pitted it, a bit closer to when Max did. And that ended up being the difference because he lost 2 seconds during that time, and then the gap was 1 point, whatever it was, or less than a second. So,
plus he had that brake issue as well. Max did. Which, which helped.
That was
Lewis.
interesting. I kind of think they BS that a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, when someone has a problem with something, it usually is a problem, and then it just wasn't. I think it was just a bit of a, we're not as quick as I thought. I don't know. I got a feeling there's a bit of Red Bull BS in that, but that's just my own perspective.
I mean, he was slowing down towards the end there, but
toward the end, maybe, yeah.
He's still doing all right though. He was just complaining.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? I think he's just bored.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a brake failure. Oh, no, not brake failure. I got no brakes.
At least he got to race for a little bit there in the first stint.
Yeah, I think it's the only time. It kind of reminds me of when Mercedes developed a car for I think it was 2019 especially, where they admitted their car was terrible during the race if they qualified behind. So that's why during races, where they either had a crash or something went wrong or didn't qualify, they weren't in the race because their car wasn't built for it. And I was kind of hoping that the Red Bull would be the same. But it's not.
Yeah, no.
It's not. It's not at all. So
any glimpse of hope is usually diminished really quick.
Yeah, literally. So it's unfortunate that we kind of got the exact same thing we'd normally see. Obviously, we're on a much smaller scale, but at the end of the day, Max still won, and it's still boring. Yeah. For a fan, we'd all want to see Lando win or Lewis win this year. Just someone else, really.
Well, the thing is, right? Yeah. You say it was a mix bag of it was good, but it was bad, like mixed reviews. For the typical generic race fan who isn't heavily into what goes on in the pit stops and stuff like that, it wasn't very great for the eyes. There wasn't too much racing compared to what we have seen in the last couple Grand Prix. But in terms of what strategy everyone was on and the fact that the undercutting and all that stuff, that part was exciting. So that's why I have mixed feelings about it. I wasn't the greatest fan of the race, but I still enjoyed the strategy side of things.
Yeah, like I said before, the strategy made it a race. Because if there wasn't any strategy to it, then Max would have just left everybody.
Oh, for sure. And
imagine if he actually qualified pole, actually kept his first place, mate. We wouldn't be saying any of this conversation.
No.
Yeah, it would have been boring. Full stop.
Strategy wouldn't have been a thing. Forget about it.
Yeah, and that's the disappointing part of the season. It was kind of fun at the start. Max Checo. But ever since summer break, I don't know if reviews have gone down or ratings have gone down for F1, but it's becoming a bit I don't know the word, predictable. Well, I'm not even saying the word bit. It already was ages ago.
Yeah.
It's just now that obviously we see Max not at the front in qualifying, or not on the front row at least.
Yeah, you can at least guarantee.
Made no difference.
Yeah. You can guarantee that he doesn't have a great qualifying, but then it doesn't really hype anything up because he's just going to win the next day.
Yeah, and that's disappointing from a fan's perspective, knowing that he qualified 6th, he had a bad day. Oh my god, and no difference.
But Singapore, see, that was different, but that was probably a one-off. I reckon. I think Max is going to win the last few races of the year. I'll be very surprised if he isn't, and I'll be quite hopeful if he doesn't. I can see that happening, though, unfortunately. But before we get into the race results, let's get into the sprint one real quick. If you do want to check out, like I said before, last time, if you want to check out the sprint highlights, it's available on the Formula 1 channel. But let's quickly brief over the results here. Max won the sprint as well. Followed by Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc rounding up the top three. Then we've got Norris, Perez, Sainz, Gasly, Russell, Albon, and Piastri rounding up the 10. Then we've got Ocon and Ricciardo, his first race in Formula 1 since he broke his wrist. He finishes 12th. Then we've got Fernando, Tsunoda, Hülkenberg, Bottas, Zhou Guanyu, Kevin Magnussen, and Logan Sargent was the last to finish, and Lance Stroll retired from it.
Yeah, he had a problem with the car with like 2 laps to go. I forgot what it was. I think it was brakes.
Yeah, I think so, because
he actually had a brake failure,
like Max, but he didn't whinge. He didn't whinge like.
Oh yeah, he just said it and then just brought it in. So
okay, in fairness, he did have his whinge.
I think he's a whinged out
for now.
For now, yeah.
But now we head on to the main race, the big one. Only 16 cars actually technically started on the grid. We had 4 start in the pit lane, including Fernando Alonso, who wasn't happy because they had upgrades this weekend. Fernando wasn't happy, so they reverted back to the old the Qatar setup, and that's why they'd start from pit lane. Didn't matter any though. He retired anyway.
No, it's a bit weird what's gone down in Aston Martin. They've had 2, and I'm going to use this for the people who can see me on YouTube, upgrades, which haven't done anything good. So, I don't know, maybe change the name Aston Martin. Maybe, you've worked on some stuff, don't say upgrades. So, yeah. And when Fernando Alonso tells you something's worse,
you listen.
Yeah, go back, fix it up.
That's it.
So, yeah, look, that was quite disappointing. And honestly, the whole Aston Martin weekend was quite disappointing.
It's definitely not the one they wanted because, in consequence, they've lost 4th place in the championship.
Yeah, and, despite me just saying that Aston Martin had a bad weekend, Lance Stroll still did finish in the top 10. However, that still means that they did lose the spot in the championship to McLaren, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it. And they were looking for a double points finish, but Alonso had floor damage. It was complete? Yeah, I think it was a floor issue, which caused him to retire. Because originally it was thinking it was suspension, but
he thought it up. Oh, that's right. Yeah. He thought he complained on the radio and the rear suspension collapsed, and then they said there's nothing wrong with it, and then they noticed the floor was damaged, so they brought it in.
Which is a shame because he was, I think, 8th or 7th. He was actually where Lance finished technically. He would have been around there.
Yeah, well, the F1 website's a bit weird, actually, the way they've laid this out. They haven't put Hamilton and Leclerc at the bottom of the list because they got disqualified.
No, so
they've left them there. It's complicated.
As we go through this, we're going to be a bit confused But actually, in saying that, though, they have kept the numbers right, at least.
Yeah, it's just confused me. But, let's go through it. Do we even need to talk about Max? We don't need to talk about Max.
We already did. Let's...
yeah, of course.
One thing I want to point out, he's now in the 50s club. He won his 50th Grand Prix. Next up is I'll cross over Lewis Hamilton, even though he was 2nd on the road, but unfortunately him as well as Charles Leclerc got disqualified post race. What exactly was it? Was it the plate?
I don't understand the technical terms. Yeah, but something wasn't right on the floor.
It was a regulation breach. To sum it up.
Do you know what's funny? I don't. When the race is finished, you don't think about those things happening. And I don't know if it was coincidence, but Crofty mentioned that there was the FIA guy there in Parc Ferme just doing all the weights and said his name. Apparently it was his 500th race or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he goes, he'll be managing all the cars after the race, checking the floors, make sure they're regulated. I'm like, was that a coincidence, or did you know something?
Something was up. Something was up.
Crofty's a genius.
But, but like for 2 cars, though, too, from separate teams.
Yeah.
Bit unlucky. Especially, I feel bad, because he was doing so well this weekend. He's good redemption after Qatar being crashed out after his mistake.
Yeah, it was the first proper weekend where Lewis looked like Lewis again.
Yeah, like there was talk of hammer time the commentary, but that's something we haven't heard for in a long time.
I've never heard the word "go get him" in the last 2 years.
No, and he was very strong in the third stint. It reminded me very much of the Singapore Grand Prix because he was very strong at the last chunk as well.
Yeah, both Mercedes were.
And like you said, if it was a couple laps longer or he pitted earlier, there was probably a chance he maybe got really close to him.
Well, let's be honest, it wouldn't have made a difference anyway.
No.
So yeah, let's
Max Verstappen. Sorry.
Let's go on to the team I'm wearing at the moment.
Lando Norris. Third consecutive podium for him.
How good's that?
He's doing so well, but I feel sorry for him.
I'll check. You keep talking, I'll check.
I feel sorry for him. Another P2. He's the Cam Waters of Formula 1. He's so close from getting that win.
He's the Valtteri Bottas.
Yeah, he's so close to getting that win. He'll get it one day. But he actually admitted that Qatar was probably his last chance. This was, I think, before this race.
It is the fourth consecutive.
Fourth? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I reckon I have to agree with him. I think he's out of chances now. No one can beat Max. You can get close, but not close enough. But still a great effort.
It's hard with the schedule.
And Lando's probably my driver of the weekend. I know last few rounds we've been giving it to McLaren drivers, but
they're the only people getting anywhere close to Red Bull. So how can you not?
Exactly, and considering where they came from from the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Now, Aston Martin, that's an upgrade. All right. But followed behind was Carlos Sainz. He had to stop. I don't have much.
He had great. He was like Lewis at the end. He had good race pace as well.
And
so yeah, he was quite far back. Like he was. Actually, I'm not 100% sure how far back he was, but he wasn't very close to Lando. He wasn't 5 seconds back before, so he was like Lewis and caught up massively. And then Sergio Perez, who we didn't see much of as well.
No, but he was sitting in 6th or 7th around that point. And there was, before Hamilton got disqualified, there were talks that, because for context, if you don't know, did we mention about, I don't even remember.
No, we didn't.
So
that happened after the last race.
Did it? Okay, well, so basically, Red Bull has, this is a rumor, nothing's been really confirmed, but it's highly likely that Sergio, if he loses his second place in the championship, he's not racing for them in 24. So he's racing for his seat in Formula 1. So he got lucky this round, the fact that Hamilton got disqualified, because that's the one he's looking out for.
Yeah, so let's do some maths. So at the moment he's 39. I'll do it later.
Yeah, do it later, but
I'll do some maths in the background.
Yeah, he would have been very close this week. Like it would have. Anyway, yeah, you do that.
I'll do some maths.
But he did get the fastest lap at one point, and then he just started dropping. So that's just Sergio for you. Charles Leclerc unfortunately got disqualified. He had a one stop. He was quite up. He wasn't really happy about that. They even offered him to change the strategy up, but that was literally with like 6 or so laps to go, and he was quite animated how it was just too late for that. So that's unfortunate for him, especially getting pole and having to. He also got told to let Carlos through as well.
Yeah, that was a bit unfortunate for him.
Yeah,
you know, it's never good to let the car you out qualified behind. Through.
Especially starting pole as well, like to just fall back. That's not what you want. 5th place, George Russell. Pretty decent amount of points, given that Hamilton retired. Well, didn't retire, got disqualified. But the main thing is they behaved. Toto was happy this weekend, at least when it came to contact.
Yeah, no one crashed into each other.
No, that's it. And I'll go through these a bit quicker, but if you do want to, like, if someone stands out and you want to talk about them, just let me know.
Yeah, sure.
So in 6th place, Pierre Gasly, the only finishing Alpine, unfortunately, after Ocon had contact with Oscar Piastri, who also retired at the start, or towards the start, which is unfortunate. Lance Stroll, bringing it home in 7th for Aston Martin. I didn't see much of Lance. 8th, Yuki Tsunoda, finally in the points for the first time since, I think, Belgium. Which is a decent result for him. And, of course, he hasn't got Liam Lawson to contest anymore. Which obviously makes a big difference. 10th place, thanks to the disqualifications, Logan Sargent has got points in Formula 1.
He's arrived.
He's got 1 point, but the main thing is it was in his home Grand Prix. One of the 3 home Grand Prix.
Yeah.
But he did get lucky, though, keep in mind. But overall, even though 11th for him...
Does that give him his seat for next year?
I don't know, but I feel horrible because I just skipped Alex.
Oh, you stooge.
Oops,
There's a double Williams points finish.
I was so stunned of the Logan part. I was just... Sorry, Alex. Forgive me. Alex, number 2.
It's 2 of us here.
Yeah, that's a perfect result for Williams. They'll be happy with that. First double points of the year. Can't complain with that. They were actually going to be 11th and 12th as well, so yeah, pretty decent. Got to be happy with that. 11th place, we've got Nico Hulkenberg. Decent result considering it's a Haas. Bottas in 12th, and we've got Zhou Guan Yu behind him in 13th. The first one to be lapped down. Then we've got Kevin Magnussen behind, and then Daniel Ricciardo brings home in 15th for his first Grand Prix, his first full Grand Prix since Zandvoort. I wasn't expecting too much for him this weekend, given it's his first one. But he brought it home. That's the main thing. He didn't crash.
Yeah, he was on that one-stop strategy until the end, but
that's true. Yeah, he got.
So he kind of got screwed.
Yeah, he was sitting before that though. He was sitting in 12th around there, but then like you said, he dropped down to the point where he actually ended up having to pit again for softs, and he did set the fastest lap for a bit there. He didn't get to keep it, but he did set it. Then, that was it all for the finishers. Then we've got Fernando Alonso retired, Oscar Piastri, and then Esteban Ocon when they both collided. But Oscar had to retire because of the damage. He actually got radiator damage. Kind of need a good functioning radiator to race these things. Which is unfortunate given how good he was.
But the contact was pretty severe. Like, that was a big punt. Big bump.
If anything, they're probably lucky that's all they got.
I'm surprised there wasn't that hole in the side part of Piastri's car.
And he lasted 4 more laps than Ocon as well. So
yeah, 10 laps.
So
versus 6. Yeah, right.
But
so what do we got next? Standings.
He was still fairly positive about it though, which is good. Which is a good thing to see.
Yeah.
But with that out of the way, Alex, would you like to go through the championship standings after Grand Prix?
Yes. Let's do this. So Max is on top with 466. Perez gets very lucky and keeps second place. Now, I've done some maths.
For now. Oh, yeah?
I'm not 100... I didn't do that well in maths at school.
No, don't worry about that.
Yeah, so I believe... So Perez scored 12 points. Hamilton scored 0. They would have been 6th and 2nd, which means Hamilton 18 points, Perez 8. So I think the gap is now 39 points, and it would have been 29. I think. That sounds right. It's either 10 or 12 he's lost. So
It could have been
somewhere
a
in that
lot worse for
ballpark.
him.
It could have been a lot worse,
Yeah.
especially if Perez won, but he didn't. So that gap's now 39 points. Fernando keeps fourth, miraculously, but the gap is now smaller
It
to
is
Carlos
very small.
Sainz.
Very small.
Yeah. Definitely going to be an interesting end to the season. It's only a 12-point gap. Sixth place is now Lando Norris, who overtook Charles Leclerc now because he didn't finish the race or got disqualified. Now, interestingly, he's also another 12 points behind Carlos. So that means Charles Leclerc is in 7th. George Russell is behind him in 8th and only 8 points behind. Now, this is where the gap's pretty big and probably won't change from here on out. Oscar Piastri with the DNF in America stays 9th. He's on 83 points. There's a 70-odd point difference there. No, sorry. Hang on. Alex, maths.
It's
I
about.
think 70 points.
It's a decent amount. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's just
It's 70 points. Yeah.
just around there. Yeah, not the
and-
same. Or your maths.
Yeah, I'm somewhat close. P10 is Pierre Gasly, although the gap to now Lance Stroll is only 3 points. I believe Stroll was behind Ocon before. No, they were very close. I think it was a 1 point gap. But Stroll is now P11. Esteban Ocon P12. Alex Albon is in 13th. Bottas now 14th. 1 point ahead of Hulkenberg, who's 1 point ahead of Tsunoda, who's 2 points ahead of Zhou Guanyu. So it's very close back here. Who's 3 points ahead of Kevin Magnussen. Liam Lawson is still 19th. And even despite Logan Sargent's point, he's in 20th with former AlphaTauri driver and current AlphaTauri driver Nick De Vries and Daniel Ricciardo, respectively, still having to score a point.
Do you reckon he'll score a point at all for the year?
If they get a strategy right, maybe. Because Yuki had a great race.
I mean, if he had a two-stopper, like a proper two-stopper, not like the one he had, I reckon
I think he would have finished 10th.
At least 12th or higher.
Was he in front of Sargent the whole race or no?
I think so.
I think it was close.
Yeah, he was.
Hard
I'm
to
pretty sure he
remember.
was ahead because all I remember was he was just dropping down.
Yeah.
And then he had to pit, obviously. But
Yeah.
it's a shame that we didn't get to see him with Yuki. They should have just copied the strategy almost.
Yeah.
But it's what it is.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at the constructors because it has changed a little bit. Over
Yes,
this weekend.
let's.
So obviously Red Bull. That's it. Mercedes is in second place still. Only 20 odd points
22.
behind, ahead of Ferrari. And then here's the one: McLaren have moved up to fourth after Aston Martin's poor result compared to McLaren's good result the last couple rounds, and Aston Martin is fifth, and they're only I hate maths. 6 odd points
6.
or so. Yeah, look at me straight away.
Yeah, so McLaren can't go any higher than fourth. That's pretty much a lock.
No, but that's where they aim though. I think, given they started poorly.
Look, next year though, second
Gotta be happy.
minimum. Yeah, second next year would be great.
If they perform the way they have all year rather than the second half,
Yeah,
expect them to be in the top, fighting in the top 3 somewhere.
yeah, 100%. And then we have in 6th place Alpine. They're pretty much locked where they are. I don't think they're going anywhere from P6. Williams is the gap's way too big. It's like 136 behind Aston Martin and 84. I think 74 in front of Williams, who's in P7. Alfa Romeo's P8, only 10 points behind Williams, but that's quite a lot if you think about it. Haas are 4 points behind Alfa Romeo in 9th place. And then this is probably the only other closest battle that could probably get changed is Haas and AlphaTauri for the wooden spoon, the last place finish.
Well, it all depends on.
I really think that AlphaTauri can get this because their momentum lately has been great compared.
And Haas hasn't really scored a point for a while.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So if even all they need is Tsunoda to just get some points, then they'll ninth.
Well, exactly. 1/9 place versus Anon's points is it?
And then we got to factor in Ricciardo as well. If he has a good strategy, he can be up there as well. So I believe in AlphaTauri over Haas. To be honest.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah,
in terms of getting points, but
yep.
That was all the action from the Austin USA Grand Prix. Do they call it the Austin Grand Prix or the USA Grand Prix?
I think it's still United States.
Because I get confused with the fact that there's 3.
Yeah, let's just call it United. I think that they said that they stayed that. Oh my god, they kept that the US Grand Prix, and then they had Miami and now Vegas.
Gotcha. Well, that's it for the US Grand Prix. Overall, it was, in my opinion, 6.8 or 6.6 out of 10. Just 6. Because 6. Yeah, there wasn't safety cars, but I enjoyed the strategy battle.
Yeah, I would just give it a flat 6.
Yeah, and driver of the day, as I mentioned, in my opinion, Lando Norris.
Logan Sargent.
No,
I'm joking. Yeah, give it to Lando. He led half the race. At least he won't be kicked out of F1 as a non-point scorer.
No, that's it. And
courtesy of Lewis and Charles. Should have gone up to him. Thank you.
They probably did go to the garage and just thank them.
Are we going to talk about the rest of the season? And maybe where the AlphaTauri can get a point?
We've got Ricardo. Mexico, we got Brazil, we got Las Vegas, and then is it Abu Dhabi after that? And that's it pretty much.
Yeah, that's it. So that's this weekend, by the way, Mexico.
Yeah, so
and then next week is Brazil.
And then we got is that a week off? And then we got 2 to go. Yeah.
Yeah, how good is a triple header, a week off, and then a back-to-back to end the year? That's great. Good work, F1.
I like that. And then we've also got the Adelaide 500. Same weekend as Abu Dhabi. Oh, I'm going to be so tired that night. Holy crap, that Sunday 26th is going to be long. But it's the last one. Yes. I like how they all come together at the end.
It's cool.
It just ends the same. But stay tuned for more F1 content from us for that, as well as Supercars. And if you're watching this before the Supercar weekend
most
preview,
likely.
Go check that out as well. We've got the Gold Coast this weekend as well. So expect next week for a Mexican debrief as well as a Gold Coast review. If you like this pod video, wherever you're watching or listening, like it, follow it, subscribe if you want. You can catch us on our socials below there as well. Alex, you want to give your plugs?
Yeah.
For the audio listeners?
Yeah, sure. Instagram, Facebook, Alex Spinozzi _sim_racing. I think. I haven't used it for a while, to be honest. But that is me.
But you've also got a pod. Alex, if you don't know, by the way, he doesn't know I'm going to do this. But you've also set up a new pod as well.
I have. It's
just
completely
quickly brief over that.
It's completely unrelated to this. It is about the Houston Rockets NBA team. So if you happen to love motorsport and Houston Rockets, or even basketball in general, it's called the Rockets Pod Down Under. There's no socials for it yet, but I run a Houston Rockets fan page, which is on Instagram and Facebook. Just search up Houston Rockets Aussie fan page.
I'll link the Instagram for the show notes as well in the description, so you can check that out. If
there probably won't be a Instagram for the show itself. That's just going to be a separate thing. But it's only on Spotify at the moment, so if you want to search it up, it's only on Spotify.
There you go. And you can follow me at Daniel Eccles 35 on Instagram, and follow our official page on Let's Talk Motorsport on Instagram, TikTok, Let's Talk Motorsport YouTube, and Spotify, and then Let's Talk Supercars on Facebook as well. So that's all from us. Any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Now let's just get keen for the next 5 weekends of, well, one weekend a break, but 5 weekends of motorsport. It's gonna be awesome.
It's the final stretch now with
Oh, it's great. It's a good time to be alive.
That's it. But so stay tuned for that. I'm definitely looking forward to it. That's all from us. Bye for now.